Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur political correspondent. And I'm here with Melissa Murray Bailey, the Republican candidate for the mayor of Philadelphia. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Just so everyone knows at home, I was tweeting her, and she answers almost every tweet as best she can. She is very accessible. So, I'm not going to start off with random questions that everyone asks you of like, where you came from or why you're running. I think what people would love to know is, Philadelphia is just associated with being a Democratic town. However, in 1999, the Republican candidate, Sam Katz, was only 7,000 votes away from winning. So, I think it's about being the right Republican. What makes you the right Republican for Philadelphia?
Yeah, I think it's like what you were saying before. I'm very accessible and I'm listening to people that I'm going to represent. So I'm going around to all parts of the city, into the neighborhoods, the community, to talk to people about what do they believe is going to make Philadelphia better. And I think for so long we've been under one political regime that hasn't had the checks and balances, that as I'm talking to people, they're feeling like their voices aren't being heard. They're feeling like people in City Hall are no longer representing what it is that they need and they want for the city. So I think when you're running a grassroots campaign like I am, it gives you the opportunity to really listen. You don't think you know everything already. You don't have a lot of people pulling you in different directions saying, if I do this for you, are you going to do this for me? But you can really listen to what people want. And so I think that is a great opportunity for the people of Philadelphia to have their voices heard.
Okay, great. Now I've read that a lot of people make assumptions. They say a little R next to your name or a little D. They're like, oh, this person must be this, this, and this. There, end of story. But what makes you different from, I guess, the stereotypical, what people would just automatically think Republican? What do you think would make you makes you different?
Yeah, I think when we look at it, we've really gotten away from why our founders established a democratic society. Mm-hmm. We've really gotten into these political fiefdoms and kingdoms, and everyone's running either so far to the left or so far to the right. But most people are somewhere in the middle. And that's what I represent. I represent someone who wants to be responsible for your taxpayer dollars, right? You work hard every single day. You want to make sure that the money that you're giving to the city is used in a way that you would spend it yourself, in the sense of you're going to be responsible with it, you're going to be as diligent as possible in your spending. But then when we think about the urban social issues, most people are right down the center. Most people want the government to stay out of it. They want to be able to do what they want to do and live their lives in the way that they want to. And we shouldn't, as a government, be saying anything about that.
All right. Well, thank you. Taxes, something everyone thinks about, death and taxes. Taxes in Philadelphia. Do you feel there are certain areas that are taxed too much, taxed too little? How would you approach, what is your feelings on the current tax situation in the city?
It is old and antiquated. I mean, do I have to go on from there? There's even a tax on amusement in Philadelphia. Regardless if you're funny or not, there's no refund if you're not funny, but there is a tax for amusement tax. Is there any taxes you would like to see eliminated or lowered? Yeah, I mean, I think as we look at the tax structure in Philadelphia and we look at the people in Philadelphia, we've been asking them to pay more taxes just about every year. Mm-hmm. And our income isn't going up. No. But we're continually asking people for more. I run a business right now, and in my business, if our products aren't working and we're not getting enough money in, we can't go back to our customers and say, well, we didn't do what we needed to with the money you gave us, so you need to pay more for that product you don't like.
That doesn't work? No. Really?
That does not
I was
work.
going to do that earlier, but I'm glad I met you, because that would have been very awkward for me.
Yeah, so I think, just like in business and how businesses have had to evolve over the past 2 decades with the financial crisis, they've been having to do things with less money. Yeah. And we're not asking the government to do that because you have to pay your taxes. You can't contest that. So there's nothing that is calling for people in city government to spend less and be more responsible with your dollars. We're also not doing anything to really make ourselves attractive to the business community and businesses wanting to come into Philadelphia. We have so many people with Philadelphia without jobs, yet we're not doing anything to attract more jobs into the city.
Is there anything, is there any specific thing that you would do or feel like the city needs to do to attract more businesses?
Yeah, there's lots of things we need to do, but it starts with our tax structure.
Okay.
There was a great research study done recently that looked at why aren't companies choosing Philadelphia. And I thought it was going to be because of the high tax rate. And I still think there's something we can do to make the taxes lower, but it was more because people couldn't understand the taxes.
It's quite the adventure to go into that. Yeah.
They couldn't understand the taxes, so they couldn't compare it to other cities, and they know it's really hard to get business done here.
Yeah.
If you want land, go to a councilman, go to a lawyer who the councilman likes, do all of these things in an exact perfect way, and that's how you're going to get business done. In most places you have step-by-step guide, and if you follow that guide, you're going to be successful. Doing business in Philadelphia, and especially getting a business started in Philadelphia, is not at all like that.
It's like an obstacle course, but not the Mark Summers kind. Are there any departments in the city of Philadelphia that you feel could be just outright eliminated? I know everyone would want to eliminate the PPA. Not what you want, but what do you think could be?
I think there's a lot of consolidation that we can do. The one thing that I've found is there's lots of different departments doing very similar things. And if you look at housing, for example, and the land that we have in the city, that is a huge opportunity for the city. Yet I believe we have 5 different departments looking over some of that. So if you want land moved into the land bank, you need so many people to vote on approval of that. And you have to go to different departments. All the different departments have different parcels of land. We're trying to get them into the land bank so that we can do something with it, so that we have less empty, vacant lots, blighted property in the city. So I think there's a lot of places where we have duplicative effort that we can look across and we can do some consolidation.
So streamlining things, efficiency. I'm all about efficiency. Schools. Everyone's always concerned about schools. Right now, Philadelphia doesn't actually elect a school board like most everyone else. We have one assigned to us. Do you feel the School Reform Commission, or Commission Reform, whatever their acronym is, do you think they're doing a good job? Would you push to have local control brought back to Philadelphia? Where are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think it's really important for us to take ownership and accountability for our school system. And as we look at the School Reform Commission right now, it's very challenging because you have diluted accountability and uncertain responsibility, right? When you have 2 groups that are responsible for something coming together, it's very hard to say, okay, who's actually going to get this done?
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
And that's what we need to do. We need to say, once and for all, we're going to fix this. And we're going to do what it takes to fix it. And that is the responsibility of the city. The city is responsible for educating our kids. And if we don't do that, then we are failing in one of the basic things that city government is responsible for.
So you would push for local control to be brought back to Philadelphia?
Yes.
All right. Now, speaking of schools, seems like every year there's always a shortfall. There's always a budget shortfall. They're always raising taxes on cigarettes. I'm sure they'll start taxing park benches. Who knows? But how would you see funding the schools at the level that it needs so that they can be successful at their jobs?
Yeah, I think the challenge in continuously increasing taxes to fund the schools is we think we're getting the revenue from the original tax base. But what happens when you tax on cigarettes is people go over the county line and they buy the cigarettes someplace else. And then that puts some other people out of business. And so the amount of tax that we think we're going to get, we actually never get because we're taxing on a shrinking base. So that's not what's going to solve the problem for the schools. I really believe the people of Philadelphia have spoken. They have said education is our number 1 priority. Every poll you look at says that. If it's our number 1 priority, we need to fund it first. Before we fund every other program, we need to fund the schools, fund the essential services that government needs to provide. If we do that, and then we also have a good plan on how we actually improve the schools and make sure that money gets into the classroom, then we'll finally be on the road to recovery for our school system.
So basically you're saying schools and essential services would be primary funding priority, and if there's anything left over, great, but those need to be taken care of first.
That's exactly right.
All right. Now, another thing that a lot of people are concerned about is crime. Crime in the city, crime in general. How do you feel that Philadelphia can improve in lowering crime? What do you think needs to be done?
I think it's, we're consistently patting ourselves on the back that some things are getting better, in the sense of the amount of homicides we're reporting is going down. So much, in fact, so that when all of the people were killed over 4th of July weekend, there was a little blurb tucked in the back of the paper that said, here are the 5 people, here's what happened. That is not okay with me.
Yeah.
Right? Every life that is lost, we need to mourn, we need to grieve, and we need to get angry to do something about stopping it. And it's just too commonplace, and it's too much not in my backyard that people aren't caring about it. So we need to take some aggressive action in that area. And what we need to do is we need to get our police officers back into the community.
Okay.
We need to get them into the community with the people, working together, coming up with ideas and solutions. And another thing we need to do is we need to get more jobs in the city that people in our city can do. When we only have about 40% of our students graduating from high school, we need to look at the types of jobs those people can do within our community. And it's our obligation to go out and find companies that we can bring in that can be a place to train and have fair wages for those people. So that's what I want to do. I don't want it to be the school to prison pipeline. I want it to be the school to jobs pathway.
So school funding and crime in general are almost interlinking issues in your mind.
Yes. But I don't think it's, it's going to take us a generation to fix it. People are like, if we get it right, the people in first grade are going to be able to get out. There are things we can do.
This isn't a weekend solution?
This is something, we have 14, 15, 16-year-olds that are dropping out of school. How do we keep them in school? And then how do we get them, not skills for a job, but how do we get them a pathway to a job?
All right. Thank you very much. Do you feel that the police department needs more funding? Do they have the tools that they need for the job they have to do?
I think there's more we have to do there.
Yeah.
Because like I said, one of the things I want to do is allow the police more time to be in the communities.
Okay.
And right now they don't have time for that. There are too many administrative things that are happening, too much time waiting in court for hearings to happen. And people are by themselves a lot. The police officers are by themselves a lot and have to be in their cars. If we're able to increase the resources for the police department, we can have them walking through parks, talking to community members. And one thing I want to do too is I want the police officers to have the ability to have 8 hours a month that they're spending involved in a community activity.
Oh, kind of like Google's 20% off sort of thing.
That's exactly
what
I got it.
Wow, I've actually have never really heard that before. That's a very interesting idea. Who do you think the current police commissioner is doing a good job? Would anyone in any department, if you were elected, get an evaluation and you would just take it from there?
Well, everyone needs to be evaluated on a regular basis. I mean, performance management and development is really important to keep a good ecosystem going. So I would make sure that we have discussions about things we can be doing better, things we should do less of. So when I come into a company that I'm new to, that I'm there to turn around, the first thing I do is talk to everybody. I talk to them about, why do you think we're in the situation we're in? What do you think we should do about it? Here are some of my thoughts, and we have a dialogue. And then we come together and we say, this is our path forward. And then people can say, hey, I'm on board with that. That's my path forward too. Or they say, that's not the path forward I see, and it's time for me to go on to the next thing.
Okay, great. So everyone is, you seems like you definitely want to have a dialogue with as many people as possible. Just because they may not have the same letter in parenthesis after their names doesn't mean they don't have good ideas.
You're exactly right. You are exactly right. It's what makes cities good and leaders good is having a diversity of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have everyone who's just like you, who's done the same thing as you.
That's technically a cult. It's technically a cult.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, it's time for the lightning round. Okay, so I have a list of one thing or another thing. And, pick one of them. All right, here we go. I think this might blow the election wide open, people. All right, I wrote them down too. Okay, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Okay, Phillies or Eagles?
Phillies.
Flyers or 76ers?
Flyers.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Spring or fall?
Fall.
Fall, all right. With your steak, well done or rare?
Rare.
All right. Spelling or math?
Math.
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers or DuckTales?
DuckTales.
Ooh, good answer. George Clooney or Brad Pitt?
George Clooney.
There's actually no wrong answer for that one. That was a trick question. Hot dogs or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
All right. All right, now it's time for the last 3 most important questions of this entire interview. All right, here we go. If elected to the mayor of Philadelphia, can I interview you again in your office?
Yes.
Okay. If people want to help out with your campaign, want to donate to it, just want to help you get your message out, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you, to get a hold of somebody? What's the best way for them to help?
Yeah, so our website is just mmb2015.com. And if you come onto the website, you can tell us how you want to get involved.
All right. I'm gonna put that. I'll put that right there. So the people they're busy copying it down right now. So I'm like stalling. Good. Now they're done. All right. Last question. What is your final pitch to the people of Philadelphia of why they shouldn't just hit, the straight ticket D, vote, be out in 2 seconds, get the little I voted sticker? Why should they take a moment and consider you?
I think that's what the democratic process is all about. It's about listening to candidates, getting to know them, and hearing what they have to say. And I think in Philadelphia, the voters are telling us that that's what they want. We have a record number of people who are changing their affiliation to independent. And that is sending a message to both of the parties, to the candidates, that they're not seeing what they want and they don't want to be labeled. And so I think, when the media says, there is a 7-to-1 registration, why are you even doing this to me?
I read that.
I believe in the people of Philadelphia. I believe that they're not just going to go in and make a decision based on a letter. I think that, like me, a lot of people in Philadelphia are tired of the status quo. They want to see some more checks and balances. They want to see accountability, transparency, and things getting done. In this election, people are asking us the same questions they asked the candidates in the last election. In 4 years, if we're still asking the same questions, don't you think we should probably do something different this time around?
Well, thank you very much. I'm Colt Sebastian Taylor. This is Melissa Murray Bailey. I'll see you later, and she'll see you at the polls.